Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into the world of cybersecurity to understand a prevalent threat: brute force attacks. These attacks are like the digital equivalent of trying every key on a giant keyring until you find the one that unlocks the door. We're talking about sophisticated software that can try thousands, even millions of combinations per second. So, buckle up as we break down what brute force attacks are, how they work, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself from becoming a victim. Stick around to the end for some pro tips that'll make you a much harder target. So, what exactly is a brute force attack? Imagine this. You forgot your password for a really important account. What's the first thing you might try? Probably some common passwords you use, right? Maybe your birthday, your pet's name, or that classic password 123. Well, a brute force attack operates on a similar principle, but on a much larger scale. It's basically an automated guessing game where the attacker uses software to systematically try every possible combination of characters until they hit the jackpot: your password. Now you might think, my password is pretty complex. And while that might be true for some really strong passwords, a lot of people still use weak and easily guessable passwords, which makes them prime targets for these attacks. Think about it. Every character added to your password exponentially increases the number of possible combinations. A 6-character password with only lowercase letters? Piece of cake for a brute force attack. But bump that up to 10 characters. Throw in some uppercase, numbers, and special characters, and suddenly it becomes a much tougher nut to crack. But don't worry, we'll get into how to protect yourself from these attacks in just a bit. Alright, so we've covered the basics of brute force attacks, but did you know there are actually different types? It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. Attackers have gotten creative and developed various methods to try and crack those digital codes. Let's break down some of the most common types. First up, we've got the simple brute force attack. This is like the brute force attack we talked about earlier, where the software just tries every possible combination of characters in a systematic way. It's like trying every number combination on a lock until you find the right one. Next, we've got the dictionary attack. This one's a bit more targeted. Instead of randomly trying every combination, it uses a pre-made list of common passwords called a dictionary. Then there's the hybrid attack, which is like a combination of the simple and dictionary attacks. And finally, we've got the reverse brute force attack. Each of these brute force attack types has its own strengths and weaknesses, and attackers will often choose their method based on the specific target and their goals. Chapter 3: How brute force attacks are performed. Alright, so we've talked about what brute force attacks are and the different types, but how do attackers actually carry out these attacks? Well, believe it or not, it's not as complicated as you might think. In fact, there's a whole bunch of tools readily available online that can do the heavy lifting for them. One of the most popular tools is called Hashcat. It's like the Swiss Army knife of password cracking tools. It's incredibly powerful and can test millions of password combinations per second. It even supports different attack modes like dictionary attacks, brute force attacks, and hybrid attacks. Then there's John the Ripper, another popular choice among ethical hackers and security professionals. It's known for its speed and efficiency, and can be used to crack various types of passwords, including Linux passwords, Windows passwords, and even Wi-Fi passwords. And let's not forget about Hydra, a tool specifically designed for brute forcing online services. It can target things like web applications, email servers, and even remote access services. The process of performing a brute force attack usually starts with the attacker gathering information about the target system. They might try to figure out what software it's running, what kind of authentication methods it uses, and any other relevant details that could help them tailor their attack. Once they have a good understanding of the target, they'll choose the appropriate tool and configure it with the necessary settings. Then comes the waiting game. The attacker launches the attack and lets the software do its thing. Chapter 4: Countermeasures against brute force attacks. Alright, so we've covered a lot of ground about brute force attacks, and it might seem a bit scary, but don't worry, there are definitely things you can do to protect yourself and your data from these attacks. Think of it like this: you're basically trying to make yourself a less appealing target for hackers. First and foremost, let's talk about passwords. I know you've heard it a million times, but using strong and unique passwords is absolutely crucial. And when I say strong, I mean long, complex passwords that are at least 12 characters long and include a mix of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. Don't use easily guessable information like your birthday, pet's name, or password 123. And here's another important tip. Don't use the same password for multiple accounts. Now let's talk about some technical measures you can implement. One effective technique is to limit login attempts. By limiting login attempts, you're making it much harder for brute force attacks to succeed because they have a limited number of tries before they're locked out. Another powerful tool in your arsenal is two-factor authentication, or 2FA for short. Even if someone gets their hands on your password, they'll still need a second factor, like a code from your phone or a fingerprint scan to log in. And speaking of making things more difficult for attackers, let's talk about CAPTCHAs. They help prevent automated bots from accessing your accounts. So, there you have it, folks. We've explored the world of brute force attacks, and hopefully, you've gained some valuable insights into how they work and how to protect yourself. Remember, cybersecurity is an ongoing process, and it's crucial to stay vigilant and proactive. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends, family, and coworkers. Let's spread awareness about cybersecurity and make the digital world a safer place for everyone. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more awesome tech content, cybersecurity tips, and everything in between. Stay safe online, and we'll catch you in the next video.